What is up, everybody? Welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. In fact, welcome to PCP Movie Night. In fact, welcome to the conclusion of ActionFest 2024 here on PCP Movie Night. It's been the best Action Fest of all time. We've kicked it off with the Die Hard franchise. Then we jumped into, what do we do right after that? RoboCop. Then we did Last Action Hero. Last week we talked about Blade. And tonight we're talking about the Dark Knight Trilogy. That's right. Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Rises from writer-director Christopher Nolan. Super excited to talk about this with my homies. And including my homies here are, of course, we're going old school tonight. We got Jelani in the house. What is up, my man?
It's about sending a message. Yeah.
Yes.
And that's station. It's always station.
Station. The message is always station. Speaking of station and being excellent to each other and partying on, it's Brooks up in the house. What is up, my man?
What's up?
What's up? What's up?
See, you've adopted the darkness. I was born into it.
Oh, you merely adopted the darkness. All right, so we're gonna get to the Bane impressions later on. We had a few other people that were supposed to be on the show. One I completely forgot about. One had to go see Deadpool and Wolverine instead. One had in-laws come in. The other one had a lot of personal life stuff going on. So it's just us three talking about three of the greatest movies of all time. And we're going to be kicking it off with Batman Begins. And I'm going to open every single one of these with my favorite quote from the movie. Now, my favorite quote from the first movie is actually like an amalgam of quotes throughout the movie that was used in the trailer. But here we go. We're about to talk about Batman Begins from 2005. Your training is nothing. The will is everything. If you make yourself more than just a man, if you devote yourself to an ideal, you become something else entirely. Are you ready to begin? All right, let's talk about it. Batman Begins right here. There's my Blu-ray copy. I love this fucking movie. I love Batman Begins. It's one of my favorite superhero movies of all time. It's one of my favorite comic book movies of all time. Like, we were talking about Blade last week, and Blade is definitely like top notch to me, right? But we even had a miserable Joe Corallo here on the channel talking about how it was just a copycat repaste of the 89 Batman movie. That's not what Batman Begins is. And I remember this so vividly. It came out in June 2005, right? And I took off of work. I was working at the Honda dealership at the time. Y'all remember this time, right? Mm-hmm. And I took that day off. It was a Wednesday. I remember I took it off so I could go watch this movie. I was so ready because I was convinced that we were finally going to get a comic book accurate characterization of Bruce Wayne and Batman. And I was not let down. I loved this movie from the fucking start. I've loved it every time. And y'all, I know a lot of shine gets put on The Dark Knight, but I think this is the best of the trilogy. It is a great origin story. It has amazing dialogue. It's got great music throughout. It is just stunning. It is stellar. It is fantastic. And I remember, like, Christopher Nolan had only had like a couple movies, right? He had done Memento, he had done The Following, and he had done Insomnia, right? But I had seen all of those movies, and I was so excited for Christopher Nolan to do a Batman movie. And then Christian Bale. A lot of people don't remember, but when Christian Bale was announced, most people didn't know who he was. This is an era where nobody knew who he was, but I had seen him in Equilibrium. And I was very, very excited. But then I remember The Machinist coming out too. And Christian Bale had to go through a lot of shit to like get into shape for this movie. He was so thin in The Machinist that they didn't think he could fill the Batman suit. Then he got too big for the Batman suit and had a cut. So this dude had to go from like a skeletal structure basically to ballooning up to then having to trim back down. And in one of the special features, Christian Bale even goes, the crew were like, oh, come on, Christian. Are we making Fat Man or Batman right now? Right? But dude, I love this movie. Y'all know how I feel. Christian Bale is my favorite Batman. My favorite Batman, period. And I don't know if that will ever change in my life. Christopher Nolan is one of my favorite directors. Like, I remember watching Oppenheimer last year and going, this dude's never missed. He's never missed to me. Now, I know some people got some snarky ass things to say about Dark Knight Rises or Tenet or anything else. His weakest film, in my opinion, is Insomnia. And Insomnia is still a really good movie. This dude has not missed. I love Christopher Nolan. I love the realistic and grounded approach. I love that for the first fucking time, cinematically, we believe that Bruce Wayne is the dude who becomes Batman. You never get that. Michael Keaton without the costume, no way that motherfucker's Batman. Val Kilmer came close, but it wasn't quite there. And George Clooney, come on, y'all. You know I love George Clooney, but like, he ain't Batman. You know what I'm saying? This was the first time we really saw Bruce become Batman. And I just don't mean narratively. I mean like physically. I mean emotionally. I was committed to this character. He doesn't become Batman until over an hour into the film. I don't give a shit. Everything is so great. Christopher Nolan took a lot of inspiration from Richard Donner's Superman movie. And one of the things about that movie was to make it feel epic, to make it feel big, and it does, but also to surround the main character with, oh, this person's only got 5 minutes screen time. Who cares? Let's get the best actors out there. You got Morgan Freeman, Michael Caine, Rutger Hauer, Ken Watanabe, actually, who's super good in the movie, even though it was a misdirect right there, right? And then, oh my God, why am I blanking on Aslan's name right now? Ra's al Ghul. What's his...
Liam Neeson?
Liam Neeson. Jesus Christ. So this movie is Katie Holmes, even like he's surrounded by some of the best actors that are just doing bit parts. You know what I'm saying?
The guy who plays Scarecrow?
Oh, Cillian Murphy.
Yeah, Cillian Murphy.
Absolutely. Absolutely, right? Cillian Murphy actually auditioned for Batman. But they didn't give it to him because they shouldn't have. But I think he did a great job as Scarecrow, even though one of my disappointments in this entire franchise is that none of them are Scarecrow movies. You know what I'm saying? But he's in all three of these fucking movies. He's in all three. And I like that connective tissue. No, I love this fucking movie. I think it's brilliant. I think it's great. I do think it leans a little bit too heavy into its fear theme, right? But I don't give a shit. This movie just slaps for me. It works. And I do believe that this was the first time that the movie-going audience really got to know the Bruce Wayne / Batman that I know from the comics, right? This, to me, is Bruce. And it's so well written. It's so well paced. The action is amazing. I remember even at the time, the Tumblr bothered me because I was like, oh, I want a sleek, cool-looking Batmobile. At this point now, though, I'm like, no, that's the best cinematic Batmobile. I'm sorry. It's so fucking badass. It's ridiculous. I love the film. I think it's really great. When I first watched it, I was in love with it. I've watched it so many times. And I actually haven't watched these movies in like a couple of years, right? And there have been so many times where the Dark Knight Trilogy was on the PCP movie night list, but it got bumped up for some stupid shit like, I don't know, Police Academy or some shit like that, right? And I'm so glad that we're doing it. And ActionFest this year, unintentionally, but as Verno pointed out, we're kind of paving the road to the MCU. From Die Hard to RoboCop to Last Action Hero to Blade to Dark Knight Trilogy. These are the films, you could add in The Matrix, but these are the films that really led to the renaissance of superhero fiction, right? The music's great. The style is amazing. I love that this movie's got a very orange palette to it. And Christopher Nolan didn't think that he was going to be doing a trilogy or anything like that. But when you watch all three of these movies together and you see how they thematically tie each other together and how they also just visually tie each other together, you think this is the grand plan all along. I fucking love this movie. I think it's great. What about you, Jelani? Batman Begins, and you out there in the chat, we see you. Let us know what you think, and we'll get to your comments. But Jelani, Batman Begins, what do you think, and what do you rate it? Out of 5 possible you digs. You out there in the chat, let us know. Out of 5 you digs, what do you rate Batman Begins? Jelani, kick us off.
It sucks. No, I'm kidding. It does not. It is one of the greatest superhero movies ever made. One of. It is Batman Begins took me off guard because I was there for Batman and Robin. I worked at the movie theater when Batman and Robin came out. We couldn't watch employee movies for a very, very long time because how bad we acted in Batman and Robin, how awful that movie was, how horrible like every character in that film was. And we thought at the time that we wouldn't get another Batman movie. So it took years to get us to Batman Begins. And the fact that Christopher Nolan made it a grounded film, he made it like this could actually happen. Like everything about his costume, to his weaponry, to the tumbler, which is my favorite Batmobile. Christian Bale is my favorite Batman. You are correct on film. There are a lot of different things that are in this movie that play out later in the other movies. It's all got great connective tissue. It has my favorite scene in this movie is when they basically when he calls his backup and he does the Sonic thing with the bats and he jumps down into his bats all the way down. Oh, that shot is so fantastic. There's so much about this movie I love about it. Hans Zimmer's like score, the blah, blah, which goes through all of these movies.
Dude, there's even more than that. There's like a little bit of complexity where it's like dun-dun-dun, ba-da-dum, ba-da-dum. Actually, that's the Saw sound for some reason in my head, but you know what I'm talking about. Like, yeah.
Not that. But yes. It's a great soundtrack. Great score. It's a fantastic cast. Katie Holmes is the best Rachel Dawes. I don't care. We're getting to the other one, but by far, Katie Holmes. In fact, my favorite character in this movie is Katie Holmes' tits. Sorry, not sorry. Because
dude, we're not reviewing The Gift right now by Sam Raimi. We're talking about Batman Begins.
The Gift. The best part of that movie is also Katie Holmes' tits. But it's so many different things in this movie that I enjoy. I will start off by saying this because it's going to be in all three movies. This is the weakest Alfred of all the Alfreds. I think Batman 66. Nah, fuck that. Michael Caine's great. He's a great actor. He's the weakest. He's the weakest.
There was way more of an emotional connection between Alfred and Bruce in these films than in any other. And the worst Alfred is, to me, in The Batman, which I don't like that movie.
No.
Personally.
It's all right. The car, I like the car.
I like the car, too.
The car's pretty cool. But Batman Begins, there's so many things I could say, like Liam Neeson's Ducard and the way it changes. The only thing
Bro, they totally got my ass, too. Yeah. Like, they totally fucking got my ass. And I felt so stupid when the reveal happens that he's Ra's al Ghul, right? And I don't care that they say Ra's, it's Ra's al Ghul. We all fucking know that because of the animated series. But when that reveal happens, I felt so fucking stupid because Liam Neeson actually looks more like Ra's al Ghul than Ken Watanabe does. And he even has the fucking... He has the little, like, extra, like, I don't know what that is, but I think I want to do that. I think I'm shaving tomorrow and I'm going to do the Ra's al Ghul goatee. No, I felt like a fucking idiot, dude. Like, I was like, no way I didn't see this coming, but I did not when it was first released.
I mean, they showed more of him than anyone else. And even in the trailers, you're kind of like, yeah, that's Ra's. Because I'm going to call him Ra's. It's always going to be Ra's. Yeah. Rest in peace, brother. But it's great. The only downsides to this movie are the microwave emitter. It destroys the enemy's water supply, but our bodies are made of like what 70-80% of water, so it would have popped us like ticks.
No, because it's not in. Oh, you're right. Because they're like we're drinking that water,
man.
Yeah, you're right, dude. Everybody should just blown the fuck up, dude.
Yeah, not scientifically the best. There are a few other things I was gonna write notes, but I forgot. But there are nitpicks that are minor in this movie. It's not the greatest thing. So I will say this one I'm gonna give Batman Begins a 4. I love it. There are problems with it, there are issues, and Katie Holmes' tits are fantastic. So yeah.
Well, thanks for bringing us back to the ground. All right. So a 4 out of 5 you digs for Batman Begins from Jelani. Honorable. I think it's a little low, but that's just me personally. But y'all are gonna think I'm fucking nuts after tonight and the way I rate these films. What about you, Brooks? Batman Begins, man. What'd you think about it on the rewatch? What was your history with it? What do you rate it?
Yeah, I remember when this movie came out, like, because it was exciting. It had been a long time since we'd had a Batman movie, since Batman and Robin kind of derailed the franchise for a long time. Like, we still talked about it even back then. Like, man, that movie's such a piece of shit. And we were like, like everybody was like, fanboys like us. We're all excited for a new take on Batman. Just a clean slate.
And this is back in the day where comic book movies weren't like 2 a week. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they were still pretty rare back then, but they proved that they had like blockbuster potential. So studios would still make them occasionally, and this one had a lot of hype behind it because it seemed like it was going to be a more serious, more like comic accurate depiction of Batman, and it is in a lot of ways. Like, it does take itself very seriously. But it is still a Batman movie, so a lot of the science is a bit goofy and questionable. But it's all in good fun, and I like it. It did take it like I like the seriousness of it, but it also it still has like the cheekiness too. Like especially like the Bruce and Alfred bits. Like I think the Bruce Alfred relationship throughout this trilogy is one of the best parts of it, and just like it has more importance, I think, overall, especially with Bruce. Bruce is like, it feels like, Bruce he's missing something. He's trying to fill it, but, he tries to fill it with Batman. And like Alfred's the only guy who's there to tell him, like, when he's going too far, like Alfred is his father figure.
You still haven't given up on me, have you?
Yeah.
Never.
That's
one of the themes of the movie, though, right? Is all the father figures, right? Yeah. He loses his father. Yeah. Ducard / Ra's al Ghul is one of his father figures. Alfred is a father figure. Even Gordon a little bit, right? Yeah. And that's the other thing. I didn't even mention fucking Gary Oldman as Gordon, and then Tom Wilkinson as Carmine Falcone.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you always fear.
Don't come here. Don't come here with your anger.
Yeah.
Because you always fear, but you don't understand. Oh my God, it's so good.
And it's like great performances. Like, I think it is the Batman movie. It was exactly the Batman movie that I wanted at the time. And it still is. This is my favorite Batman movie to this point. Like, so far I haven't seen a Batman movie that I like more than this one.
Wow.
And like, it just feels like a really solid cinematic Batman. And Bruce Wayne. I think Christian Bale does he does great, with both aspects. Like especially like I love the Bruce Wayne bit where he plays drunk at the party to get everybody to go away. Like, you sycophantic parasites.
That was the first time we actually got to see him acting as Bruce Wayne, right? Like that was the first time we actually got to see Bruce Wayne like the way it is in the comics, at least post-Crisis, right? Where like Bruce Wayne is like a mask that he wears to hide the serious nature of his life and who he is, right? And that's the first time when he buys the hotel.
Yeah, the two girls are playing in the fountain.
He sees Rachel and he's like, "Oh, we were just swimming." We have more hotels for you to buy, Bruce.
Yeah, I think it's a perfect balance of kind of the silliness of the comics, but taken seriously enough that you can buy it. So I'd give this movie a 5. This is my favorite out of the trilogy. And like I said, it's my favorite Batman movie. So, I couldn't give it any less with a clear conscience.
Fuck yeah. What'd you give it? A 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck 5. I'm right there with you. This is a 5 you digs for me. I agree with you, Brooks. This is my favorite Batman movie to date. By the way, y'all know bullshit really little fucking Davey, faux Robbie, right? This dude told me today, I think the whole trilogy is overrated.
You just
that really pissed me off. I thought about cutting his hours at work, but
yeah.
no, I love Batman Begins. I think it's the best Batman movie we've ever gotten. I think it's the most comic accurate Batman movie we've ever gotten. And what I mean by that is this: the character of Bruce Wayne in this movie, of Batman in this movie, is the most authentic to what I have read in the comics throughout my life. And I love seeing him from the beginning. I love the grounded, down-to-earth nature of the film. Everything's very realistic, but there is still this like sensationalized nature to it. I fucking love it. So I'm going to give it a 5 ya digs as well. To me, this movie's got just goddamn perfect. And another one of my favorite quotes from the movie is, "It's not who I am underneath, but what I do that defines me." I also think he has the best Batman voice.
Yeah.
Out of anybody who's ever played Batman, and this is the movie where it's the best. I know we all like to joke on the next 2 movies where he's like, "Where is he?"
I think.
But dude, I remember the first time I watched this movie, and once again, every Batman movie has somebody who could be Sergeant Bullock, but it's not. And this one has one too. When he pulls that guy and he's like, "I don't know, I swear to God," he goes, "Swear to me." Like that's how Batman acts, dude. He like just beats the fucking shit out of people and just yells at them and questions. So a 5 from me and from Brooks, a 4 from Jelani. We'll give that a PCP average of a 4.669. Sounds good. All right. 2008, we get The Dark Knight. If any of these movies are overrated, it's this one, right? But here's what I'm saying. I don't think this movie is as good as Batman Begins. But this movie is fucking awesome. This movie is great. Christopher Nolan coming back. You got most of the cast back. And now we got Heath Ledger in a career-changing role. Unfortunately, he died before the movie was released, right? But he's amazing. Aaron Eckhart. Where the fuck is he? Nobody gives a shit about him anymore, but his Two-Face is really solid. And y'all know that my favorite Batman villain is Two-Face. And I love the tragic story of Bruce, Jim, and Harvey and their collaboration and their eventual split, right? I fucking love this movie. I think it's great. When I first watched it in the movie theater, I did think it went a little bit long. Like, I was like all gung-ho about, oh, they're going to make Harvey Two-Face at the end of the film and set up the third film. Then I'm like, oh no, this movie still has 40 fucking minutes to go. It runs a little long. All of these movies are long, but none of them feel long to me. But this is the one that does feel a little bit long. It slows up just a little bit, right? Heath Ledger's Joker. I mean, what can I say here right now on YouTube on July 29th, 2024? That's not been said. Everybody knows that Heath Ledger knocked Joker out of the park. I remember when they were doing that viral campaign where you had to like submit your email, and for every email, a pixel would come undone on the screen, right? It was a I Believe in Harvey Dent thing. And then it made the first image of the Joker. And I remember just being transfixed by that. Oh, they've given him the scars. They're giving him a lot of black around his eyes. And what's crazy is our homie G-Funk, you know who I'm talking about. It's G-Funk, the Snapdragon of the Dragonetti clan. That dude had Heath Ledger's Joker look for years before this fucking movie came out, right? Straight up.
I took him to parties for that.
He was the Joker on Halloween for so many years. And then Heath Ledger shows up and he looks like our homie George fucking cosplaying the Joker.
Nailed it.
The Joker is great. Two-Face is great. I think that these movies don't lean too heavily into CGI. And I think that's one of the reasons why they stand up so well today, visually in particular, against other movies at the time, right? But like this movie was the same year Iron Man. This was the same year that the MCU started. But The Dark Knight is something else. It's like once again a dark, grounded approach to things, but it's elevating that character. We're getting more into it, and just like we had all these orange hues in the first movie to symbolize like the morning or something, right? Batman Begins, it's the morning. This is The Dark Knight. So all these blues, right? And then you elevate the tumbler by having Joker basically almost blow it up. And then you get the Bat Pod. So you get Christopher Nolan's version of the Bat Cycle. And it works for me. I think this movie is amazing. I love all the intricacies of like all the crime families, like Maroney, played by Eric Roberts from Best of the Best, right? Michael Jai White's character, the whole like, I'm going to make this pen disappear. It's gone. Like, dude, Heath Ledger's Joker was amazing and not a performance that we typically are used to seeing, but we've seen Jack Nicholson, we've seen Cesar Romero play that clown prince of crime, or like I said, with Jack Nicholson playing more of a gangster approach to it. This was the true chaotic nature of the Joker. The Joker at this point in comics had gotten super dark, and man, they played it so fucking well. That interrogation scene where he's just like, you have nothing to threaten me with. Like, anybody else doing what Heath Ledger did as the Joker in this movie is going to come across as cheesy and stupid and phony, and it doesn't here. It is absolutely brilliant. I love this movie. It's the best Two-Face we've ever gotten on screen. It's the best Joker we've ever gotten on screen. And the one fault I do have with the movie is I will agree with you, Jelani. I don't think that Maggie Gyllenhaal really steps into the role of Rachel Dawes as well as Katie Holmes. But I have had a crush on Katie Holmes since I first watched Go, right? So it's still hard for me to like accept her in the role, as odd as that sounds. But I do love this movie. I think it's great. But Jelani, what do you think overall about The Dark Knight? And what do you rate it? And by the way, yeah, Nick from Comic Culture, the hit me scene, that's another thing I love about these movies is they replicate scenes that we know from other previous Batman films, but they do it in a different way. That scene with the Bat Pod and the hit me, that is exactly the same scene as the Batwing in 1989 coming in and the Joker being like, come on, motherfucker. And Batman cannot hit this motherfucker like at all. You know, he's like shooting all around him or whatever. Y'all know the scene I'm talking about where he pulls the big gun out and shoots down the Batwing. It's the same scene pretty much, but incredibly more elevated in my opinion. This is elevated superhero fiction. What about you, Jelani? Dark Knight, what do you think about it? What's your history with it? What do you rate it?
This is quite possibly the best told superhero story ever. Batman Begins builds it to what Dark Knight is to me. I'm sorry. This is pinnacle. This is like peak. This story is tragic. It's like a different level of superhero. Like it's realistic in ways. It's got some kind of aura around it, and everybody's like, "Oh, this is high." I don't know who's saying it's overhyped. I don't know who you're listening to, because this one's the facts. The second time, this is probably the 8th time I've seen this movie, and it doesn't shy off. Heath Ledger is perfect Joker. He is the best Joker on screen. The pencil trick is the best opener scene that for a Joker that you can get. I mean, all of Why So Serious, everything about this movie is fantastic. I mean, everything. I'm sorry, we've already said Batman Begins is fantastic. This amps ups the ante. It puts Gotham at another level as well, because Joker is doing a morality tale where he wants to make sure that, you know, the chaos is just, it's a thing of nature, and he assumes that he doesn't, that people don't believe in each other, and he's proven wrong. And it's such a fantastic story. I'm sorry, this one
it does such a great job too of the tragedy of Harvey. Like that
awful
theme you're talking about, the way that they throw that together, it's like it works so well, dude.
Yeah, it does. It's so beautiful. But
dude, and I didn't even mention this. I'm sorry. The Hong Kong scene where like Morgan Freeman's like, "Oh, you ain't really good." Just like if somebody had to go to Hong Kong to snatch this motherfucker up, he's like, "All right, let's fucking do it, dude." That scene's so badass, dude. That's totally a thing Batman does. Oh, we need this guy back from Hong Kong. All right, I'll have him here in 48 hours.
Morgan
Freeman. The Joker calls it like, Batman does not have a jurisdiction. He'll find Mr. Television. He'll bring it back.
Dude, even when he first shows up, he
And
goes,
he'll
simple,
sleep.
simple plan. We killed the Batman.
It's it.
Some men just want to watch the world
so
burn.
I love the Heath Ledger scene where he's fooling around with the bomb at the hospital. That was like a real take that he pretended he was just playing with the detonator and slapping it until it actually went off.
Yeah.
That was great. I'm sorry. The fact that was one take, that amazes me to no end.
We call in the art world a happy accident.
Yeah. It's I hate Heath Ledger wasn't alive to see the praise he got for this movie. I think he would have gotten the same praise had he lived. I really do, because his performance transcends it. It's the character he was like meant to play. He meant to play this, but it was to his detriment. There are a lot of things about this film that are the beginning of things. It's the beginning of everyone thinks that we can make credible superhero movies, and is also the end, because we've got to make them as dark as this. That's what the downfall of DC was. We got to make a Superman that is as dark as this Batman movie. And you can't do that.
They use the same font for Man of Steel, right? They use the same font. They like Man of Steel, Dark Knight. Yeah, that was the idea.
Different guys. And one is bright and hopeful, and one is dark and brooding. And you can't make dark and brooding for the happy guy. You can't do it. So that's what ruined DC, other than picking Ben Affleck as freaking Batman, which is the dumbest mistake y'all ever made in your stupid lives. Anyway, other than that, this is a damn near perfect movie, except for goddamn Maggie goddamn Gyllenhaal. Now let me begin. Maggie Gyllenhaal is the worst thing that ever happened to this movie. Period. Hands down. This for me would be a perfect film if she wasn't Rachel Dawes. Rachel Dawes was lost when we lost what's her name? God dang it. Now I can't get it.
Katie Holmes.
When we lost.
Oh, by the way, we have Tom Cruise to blame for that, basically.
Yeah, we do. We do, because he took her away. But they miscast with Maggie Gyllenhaal because, yes, it was not her role. She didn't feel that character. She wasn't that character. It wasn't the same role. It doesn't work well because she's a plain Jane, which is gorgeous. I love her. Don't get me wrong. And Secretary, I love Secretary. If you haven't watched that movie, watch it. It's fantastic. James Spader, chef's kiss. But she's not Rachel Dawes in this movie. And plus, she does like this weird thing where she's like kissing Bruce and then writes a letter because he doesn't step up to be Batman, even though it was the plan from these three guys. It was that whole little subplot where she's just angry and she's like, I'm going to leave the most secure place that you need to be in because you're in trouble. You're going to leave it because why? Why? Because Batman or Bruce didn't turn himself in as Batman. And it still hurts me that whole little area exists in this film. It's like the Canto Bight scene and everything else in freaking Last Jedi. It's just little things like that would have made me give this a 5, but it's a 4.5 because of Maggie Gyllenhaal. Yeah, I'm evil. But
damn. All right. 4.5
4.5
because of Maggie Gyllenhaal. All right. What about you, Brooks? What do you think about The Dark Knight? And once again, of course, I got it with the slip. But look underneath.
Of course.
Oh, look at that.
Nice. Hit me.
Stuff.
Hit me.
Hit me. Dark Knight. What do you think, Brooks?
Yeah, I really like this movie as well. I don't think it's as good as Batman Begins, but there's a lot of things about it that I like more than Batman Begins. Like, I think the Joker, in this movie it's just so perfect for the time. And I don't give a shit about Rachel Dawes. Rachel is a fucking boring ass character in the first one. She's boring in this one. I don't fucking care about her. I don't care if she's played by Gyllenhaal or Katie Holmes or whatever. I'm just glad she died in this movie.
You wouldn't care if it was Jake Gyllenhaal playing her.
I'd have been mad. Listen, I'd have been mad if they killed Katie Holmes. If they killed Katie Holmes in this movie, I'd have gave this a 5.69 because the emotional impact of her dying is what Batman lives on in the third movie that we're going to talk about. That's what makes me mad about this one. We'll get there. I'm sorry.
But yeah, I think the Joker performance is really what I think clinches this movie in a lot of ways. And like, Heath Ledger like brings something so like, so different to the Joker, but so familiar as well. Like, because the Joker, like even in the comics, has always been a very fluid character who tends to just kind of adapt to whatever the writers need him to be. Like, he can be like, the clown prince of crime, and then like later on down the line, he can be like they made him Michael Myers for a little while. I remember when he had his face cut off and he like taped his own face.
Yeah, the Greg Capullo shit, right?
Yeah. So like, yeah, like different takes on the Joker are just, everybody's gonna have a different take. And I think he does a really good one in this one. Like, and this movie deals a lot with like, a lot of things that were going on at the time, a lot of anxieties, like, regarding like surveillance state stuff and, terrorism and, like this idea that there's just people who like just don't care about the rules of society and who will just like, wreak havoc and chaos and like cause destruction just for fun. And like there's always that thing about like this performance that I felt familiar, and this time I finally pinned it down. He kind of reminds me of Christopher Lloyd's Uncle Fester in a lot of ways, not in the performance, but like in his inflections, like especially the eye. He does this thing with his eyes sometimes.
Well, that is like the second greatest performance in cinema history, right outside of Heath Ledger's Joker. Is right.
That's a great performance, like. But yeah, it's like there's, it isn't just the Joker, but I think all the scenes with the Joker are the best parts of the movie in my eyes. And it does feel a little long, but I don't think like not to his detriment. I don't think. I think the third one's a little more.
Well, the third one's almost 3 hours fucking long. So
yeah. I think the third one feels a little longer, but this one feels a little long, but not too much. So like, I give this one a 5 too. Like it's a great viewing experience. Like, it's a perfect sequel, and those are so rare, and so when you get them, you gotta appreciate them.
You also remember the Gotham Knight animated movie, right? And the animated movie anthology is kind of like a bridge, right? That like leads to this. And I was into all of the hype for this movie. I mean, all three of us were at this time.
Mm-hmm.
We were like, we may have gone to see it together. I don't remember who I saw it with in the theater, but like such a fucking big deal. This movie was great. So before I give my rating, I'm going to give my favorite quote from the movie. Sometimes the truth isn't good enough. Sometimes people deserve more. Sometimes people deserve to have their faith rewarded. That is a great fucking quote from this movie, from the end. And I love this fucking movie. Like I said, I don't like it as much as Batman Begins, but that's like a slight difference right there, right? Mm-hmm. A very slight difference. And Heath Ledger, his role is great. I loved actually seeing Two-Face have that tragic fall. I love also how they built up that this was already inside of him before he gets scarred up, right? Like he's almost about to go kill that dude. And one of the best moments, all right, that fucking moment in the first movie where he's like, swear to me. That's great, right? But in this one, when he has Eric Roberts up and Eric Roberts like, we're cool with your tricks. This fall's not enough to kill me. And he goes, I'm counting on it. And he just fucking drops that dude. I fucking love it so much. It's great. This is a 5 you digs for me. It's a perfect film. Like, I mean, there are things that I could pick at it, but nah. 5 out of 5 for me on this one. So a 5 from me, a 5 from Brooks, and a 4.5 from Jelani for a PCP average of a 4.869. Our Ariaga says, best quote, some men aren't looking for anything logical like money. They can't be bullied, reasoned, or negotiated with. Some men just want to watch the world burn, you dirty, rotten scoundrel. How in the fuck is it only 3 of us tonight? Because 4 of us decided not to be here tonight, Joe. But yeah, I know we're doing the Dark Knight Trilogy and it's just us, but you know what? It's nice going old school. All right, let's jump ahead. Let's get controversial here. 2012, The Dark Knight Rises. So you think a slip's cool? How about a lenticular slip for my copy of The Dark Knight Rises?
Wow.
So yeah.
Wow.
All right. I remember when this movie is coming out because actually we have just hit its 12th anniversary, right? And so I'm that old hat that goes on my Facebook memories every fucking day, right? To relive my life over the last 15 years or whatever, right? And today, one of the things I saw was somebody tagging me in a post going, "God damn it, Robbie, now I'm Baning everywhere." Because if you all remember, I was so obsessed with Bane in this movie. I was doing the voice at all times.
I remember seeing it in the theater with you, and like you were so excited when we came out. You were like punching the columns at the theater.
I was, dude.
You were punching.
So here's my favorite quote from this movie. "Peace has cost you your strength. Victory has defeated you." Y'all, let me tell you something. I am such a fan of the character in the comics of of Bane, right? I'm a big Bane fan. And I think one of the reasons why is because Bane is like one of the like major Batman villains that we saw from the beginning, right? Like I read Nightfall. Yeah. Bane was threatening to me because Bane was not just a physical threat to Batman. He was also a mental threat to Batman. He was also a spiritual threat to Batman. Now, in the comics Nightfall, they go out of their way to make you realize that, yeah, Bane's super strong. He's pumped up on Venom. He can break Batman's back. He's a physical threat. But they made it a mental threat as well. Bane is incredibly fucking smart. Okay? So what Bane had we gotten in live action cinema before this? Vader and fucking Batman and Robin.
Jesus
you know what I'm saying? And that's some bullshit, dude. People say that Bane's just a glorified henchman in this movie. Get the fuck out of here. This dude is a true fucking believer in what he's doing. And he's super imposing physically to Batman, mentally, and in this movie, more so than even the comics, he is a spiritual threat to Batman. He breaks his spirit, yo. And like sometimes, you know, I'm not always right. And I remember when we watched Daredevil, I was waiting for one fucking moment. I needed Bullseye to kill Elektra. And I needed him to say, "and for my next trick right before." And I remember being in the fucking theater, dude, and being like, "Just say, and now I will break you. Just say, and now I will break you. Just say now. Just say now." And he goes, "I will show you where to meet my home. I was preparing to bring justice. Then I will break you." And he fucking does, and it's great. And yeah, it's dumb because, okay, you just hold him up by a rope and punch his fucking spine back in and he's going to be healed. Whatever. It's stupid. It's dumb. It's ridiculous. But man, so I was looking at my Facebook memories, and just a few days ago, one of my posts from 12 years ago was, "I cannot wait for everybody to understand why Bane is one of the best Batman villains out there." The initial response to Bane was, "Oh, he's not wearing a luchador mask. He doesn't have a super like Latin accent or anything like that." But I will tell you this about the accent. He's doing this like Irish and Spanish Romani kind of accent. So there is a little bit of a Latin flavor to it that Tom Hardy's intentionally doing to honor the Latin heritage of Bane, right? Yo, I'm not telling you that the voice is perfect or the voice is great. In fact, when I was watching it today, I was like, man, the mix is so fucking high on this. Like, his voice really stands out to me more than any others. Like, it feels disconnected from the movie sometimes, right? When he's doing his talk and it comes across very, very loud and just not like, it doesn't feel like it's part of the natural mix. I don't give a fuck. I really don't. Because we got a Bane that was so comic book accurate. Who gives a shit about his voice or the mask or the fact that he doesn't have Venom? I remember a lot of people pissed that he doesn't have Venom. That wouldn't make sense to me in these movies. What makes sense to me is that this dude is in excruciating pain at all times. He's being pumped painkillers through that fucking mask. I love that. Dude, that opening fucking scene. All right, look at the opening scene of Dark Knight, right? The bank robbery. Totally inspired by Michael Mann's Heat, right? Totally. This opening, that blows my fucking mind because they literally did that to a fucking plane in the air. And it's just like mind boggling how great it is. But he's like, it would be extremely painful for you. Like, I love his voice because it's a character. It stands out. I don't give a shit. I love Bane in this fucking movie. I think Tom Hardy is a great villain. I didn't see the Talia twist coming in this movie for some reason, but it wasn't as surprising as the Ra's al Ghul twist in Batman Begins. Man, this movie to me is so inspirational. And I got that same vibe when I was watching it again. This is seeing one of my favorite characters, this true hero that we built up, right? Who took a sacrifice at the end of Dark Knight to be the villain, right? He's the hero that Gotham needs, but not the one it wants, or whatever the fuck it was, right? To see this dude at the bottom, going through depression, right? And then figuring like, all I got to do is put the costume back on, strap up my fucking knee, and I'm good. I'm going to go take care of this Bane dude. That is not what happens. That is one of the most one-sided fights we've ever gotten in a superhero movie. Bane is just kicking his ass the entire time, right? And to see him then go from that to like, I love the dichotomy of like the first movie when he falls into the cave with the bats and his dad has to come and get him. Why do we fall, Bruce? To learn to pick ourselves back up. And in this one, he's in a big pit again. He's fallen yet again, and now he has to pick himself back up, and he rebuilds himself. And when he comes back, he is ready. And that last fight, dude, that's why I was punching the fucking stone pillars, Brooks, because that last fucking fight, like, dude, here's the other thing. Bane is so fucking fast. Like, to see, like, that dude be so big, but just, like hit, like, oh, my goodness. It's so fucking amazing. I also love the moment when they find Gordon. And they're like, we found the commissioner. He's like, and you brought him here. I don't know. There's something about Bane. Do you feel in charge right now? Like, Bane is super threatening to me. He's my favorite villain out of all three of these fucking movies. This is my second favorite Batman movie of all time, is The Dark Knight Rises. I fucking love this movie. And also, I know we love Michelle Pfeiffer, but man, Anne Hathaway to me is one of the sultriest and hottest Selena Kyles we have ever gotten.
She's very Julie Newmar in this one.
She does. Yeah, she does. I like that. And dude, she looks so good in that fucking costume. And I love her attitude. I love her music, right? She's got this like whimsy kind of part to the music and score that pops in when she comes in. But I love her in the movie. And I actually think that unlike the new Batman movie, which I don't really like, I don't think there's any chemistry between what's his name? What's Twilight Boy's name? Yeah. Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz. I don't feel the chemistry there. Michael Keaton, Michelle Pfeiffer, I had that chemistry, and I really had it here with Christian Bale and Anne Hathaway. I think Anne Hathaway is super fucking just gorgeous and sultry and amazing as Selena Kyle. I fucking love this movie. I can rant and ramble about it for so long. I even like the dumbass fucking Blake shit, right? Or the dude whose name is Robin. He's being set up to be like the next Nightwing, because his story goes all the way back to like the Wayne Foundation and the orphanage and shit like that. Like, I don't know. There's something about this movie that to me is straight up inspirational. Like, this movie really means a lot to me. I fucking love The Dark Knight Rises, and the Bat is fucking dope as shit. Dope as shit. Plus, the Pittsburgh Steelers are in here. And it's also given me one of my favorite YouTube videos where it's like, where they redubbed Bane. And he's in that one moment where he's at the fucking Steelers game. And he's like, who's the one man who ever defeated me in freestyle? And he's like, only me. Yes. And he breaks his neck and then he goes, Bane's my name. Bruce Wayne and Batman are one and the same. Anyway. I fucking love this movie. So, Jelani, what did you think about The Dark Knight Rises, and what do you rate it?
I mean, when I first watched this movie, I watched this with our good friend Finley. And we watched it at Holiday 18. And the thing is, we watched all three movies like in a row. They had this marathon where you could watch the premiere of Dark Knight Rises, but you had to watch Batman Begins and The Dark Knight first. And I sat down and watched all three in a row. That was the longest trek of my life, but I loved it. I loved every minute of it. It felt like it's a well put together trilogy. You can't do anything past this. It's like Batman Begins, Batman's Dark Knight, where he elevates himself to another level and also becomes the villain. He sees himself become the hero, and then his tragic fall. And it wasn't really tragic. He saved the city in the end. I like this movie. It's just too long. It's too long. I think it doesn't get to its points fast enough where it needs to be. I didn't get Talia either. Like, I kind of guessed it was Talia, but at the same time, I was like, nah, they're not going to do that because, you know, they kind of made a Montoya. They kind of made a Bullock, you know, and they kind of made a Blake, made it like a Tim Drake Robin or a Dick Grayson. He's like an amalgamation of a lot of things. And it was just weird that they would do certain things like that. Just make him be Dick. It could be Dick Grayson. I would be okay with that. And he didn't have to be Robin. He doesn't have to be Robin or Nightwing. It didn't have to be that way. I love Anne Hathaway. I'm sorry, she's great in this movie. She's got her quirks, and I love how he's like a simp for her. He like told Bruce Wayne like trusts her, and she's like screwing him over like every chance she gets, every chance he gets.
Just once.
It was twice.
And he keeps trusting her. By the way, our Ariaga, like, I mean, this may be a hot take. You may not agree with me, but Tim Burton's Batman, he never understood the character of Batman, in my opinion. So, yeah, I do think this is better than Burton's Batman.
Yeah, he's better than
But I also think Blade is better than Batman 89, so shots fired. So
damn. Yeah, it's still a thing. There are a lot of things to say about this movie. I love the opening, just like Dark Knight. I think Dark Knight is fantastic at the opening. This does the same thing, dropping that plane.
I'm supposed to kill the bus driver.
Yeah, it's so cool. There's so many different levels to how good this is, but at the same time, it drags. And the fact we don't have a Heath Ledger in this movie kind of sucks too, because there's just, oh man, there's so many little things that he could have contributed to this movie, and it would have made it awesome. Made it 100% for me. I would have like, oh my God, Heath Ledger's in here, and it's like total anarchy. Like seeing Joker in total anarchy, I'd pay to see that. I'd pay to see Heath Ledger.
See, but I feel like we do get a Heath Ledger in this movie. Not the chaotic representation, but we do get like this revolutionary figure of Bane.
Yeah, you do get Bane.
Control of your city.
Bane's okay,
like, I fucking love it.
He's also a simp for Talia at the end. He just gives up all his... He loved her. And then she's like, thank you, my friend. And touches his mask and then leaves. I'm like...
Oh, I love that shit, though. When she's telling the story and he's like, he tears. Like, you see his tear. And that's the other thing. That's the other thing. Tom Hardy does all of this through his voice and through his eyes. Man, and those eyes work for me, dude.
Yeah,
100%.
And he tells a lot of tales with that face. And his character is one of the best villains. He is. I think Heath Ledger is still the best. I'm sorry, hands down. He played his character well. Two-Face would probably be after him, and then Bane. I just think Bane got punked at the end. He just didn't feel like he got a successful, cool way to go. I think he just got shot by Anne Hathaway. And she was like, I don't believe
that was a little lame, yeah.
I was like, that's kind of weak. That's a little weak sauce. You go through all of that, and then Talia dies kind of dumb. And I don't like how she dies. Like, oh, I fell off the thing. And she's like, no, I'm dead. Which, by the way, Talia's hot.
Talia al Ghul immortal?
Yeah.
The method's supernatural.
Dude, when y'all first watched this movie, did y'all really think Ra's al Ghul had come back? Because I did. I was like, oh, fuck, he's back.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just a dream? What the fuck?
It would have been nice though for him to have been like, I like freaking survive. I survived that train wreck, and now I'm alive in this pit with you.
I watched you die.
Yeah. I watched you die. Yeah. It's so cool. There's so many little things. Roland Daggett, I forget that guy's name. He's Talos in Captain Marvel.
Yes, he is.
He does stuff. Oh yeah, he's in Rogue One. He's the villain in Rogue One. I like him there too. I don't know. I just think Roland Daggett is just that was a weak ass character. That's a weak sauce character.
They changed his name too to John for some reason.
Do you feel in charge?
You feel in charge.
He just puts his fucking
hand on me like that.
He just puts his fucking hand on him, and like I'm just like, oh,
you're in charge. Yeah, and I'm like, no, son, no, you're not.
Dude, I just
I
like
paid you a lot of money.
I think for the next 6 months, I walked around like this. I just was like,
I'm going to hold my yeah. Bane's presence is fantastic. But getting off the thing,
here's the thing. Regardless of what people think about the accent or anything like that, like that's more like the Bane from the comics, though, right? Like, right? Yeah. He's smart. He's cunning. He's got a big plan. Yeah.
But he turns into a punk bitch at the end. That's my only problem with it. He turns into a punk.
He's a true believer. No, brother. They expect one of us in the wreckage.
Bane's still
we rise, brother.
But we started the fire. But dude, in that moment where everybody's doing the fucking chant, and Batman's like, "What is that? What are they saying? What does that mean?"
They say rise.
Oh my god, that hits me, man. I'm tearing up right now. I'm like Bane at the end of the fucking movie. Call me a punk ass bitch if you want, man, but I'm tearing up thinking about that shit. So
yeah, punk ass bitch. I wouldn't say it to his face, but he is. It's weird that we get such a long movie, like a progression of the downfall of Gotham, and it feels long. It's just
but it's nightfall, it's no man's land, it's all that put together. I
get it. I know it's cataclysm, it's all the fun stuff. I get it. I read the books. It's a mixture of all. It's just fun, and it was still too long to me. I think you could have cut some of that down. We could have had a montage of the crap that's happening. We didn't even get villain factions. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't get to see a Penguin. I didn't get to see people Killer Croc or somebody.
You see Crane come back, right?
Yeah,
Killian's going to be in every one of these fucking movies.
Yep.
Death by exile.
He's awesome. Yeah.
If you think that we're going to go over that ice, you got another thing coming.
Yeah, it's so many little things in this movie that would make it be perfect, but it's not really there. It's something that's just missing from it. I don't like the bomb thing. So like he fixed the autopilot. Did he jump out? Did he fly away? That was just the magic trick that he had, that he could get away with it. And I lost my train of thought because interjections. I keep forgetting what I was going to say. But God dang it. I don't know. It doesn't matter. This is an okay movie. I'm giving this one a 3 because it's good, but it's not great. It doesn't have that feeling I had when I left Dark Knight. And I know there was something else I was going to mention about this film, but I completely lost my train of thought. So I'll give it a 3.
A 3 you digs from Jelani. All right. What about you, Brooks? What do you think about The Dark Knight Rises?
I like this movie. I don't like it as much as the first two, but I still do enjoy it. It does, it feels long. It feels like it's kind of, stretching in too many directions. Like at times, like you got the Gordon storyline, and then you got Bruce, and like it feels like it's trying to juggle too many balls sometimes. But I think it's a very satisfying conclusion to this Batman's like character work. You get him at his lowest, like in the beginning of the movie, he's like at his lowest, like he's depressed, he hasn't treated his injury, he's like separated himself from society, and then they get the kind of Dark Knight Returns kind of storyline where he has to go back in. He has to go one last ride, but then he feels like he starts being Batman again. And he's like, oh, I actually like being Batman. And then like, he has another fall, and then at the end, he finally has a way out, and he actually takes it. Like, I think that was cool. Like, that, they finally gave Batman a chance to, get the closure he wanted, to finally feel like he'd done everything he could for Gotham, and, to be able to finally just, walk away feeling like, he'd done his best, for Gotham, like, that he didn't just leave it, to its misery. And I think Bane's a great villain too. Like, I really loved Bane in this. Not as much as Joker. It's like he's kind of the same character, and like, he's someone who's trying to stir the pot, but unlike Joker, he actually has like he has a plan,
Yeah, he's like ordered chaos, right?
Yeah, like to him, the chaos is a means to an end, whereas with the Joker, like, the chaos is the end. Like, that's the Joker just causing chaos because it's what he does. But with Bane, like, destroying Gotham is part of like a larger scheme. And I like the way they did the thing with the League of Shadows, how they showed that they were so fanatical and willing to die. Like, even from the beginning of the movie, where he's like, no, brother, you have to stay. They'll expect one of us to stay. He's like, well, the flames rising? Yes. And, and even in the end, Bane is even willing to, lay down his life too. It's kind of like a statement on, the kind of terrorists that we were always afraid of in like the 2000s, and even to this day, in a lot of ways, is like somebody who's so committed to an idea that they're willing to lay down their lives, who like, have so little, seem to have so little reverence for their lives that they would, be willing to do these things. But, that said, it feels a little long to me. Like I said, but I want to give it a perfect score. I give it a 4, I wouldn't quite give it a 4.5, but still a great movie and like a great end to like a great trilogy. I think Nolan should be really proud of how he like stuck the landing on this trilogy.
I agree. This is going to be as no surprise to anybody. I'm giving this one a 5 out of 5, you digs. I fucking love this movie. It's my second favorite Batman movie of all time. I know it's not a popular opinion, and I don't give a shit because it's my opinion. It's how I live my life, and I live my life by trying to rise out of the pit of fucking shit and despair that we were all fucking born in and exist in. You know what I'm saying? And this movie means a lot to me, man. I love Bane in this film. I love all the supporting cast in this film. I love the tone and the atmosphere in all 3 of these movies. And this is one of the most consistent franchises that, like, out of all trilogies, right? Like movies that have 3, to keep that tone, to keep that pace, to keep the deliberate nature going for 3 movies, it works for me. I think this gives us a complete tale of Batman from his beginning to his ending, right? And I eat this shit up. I think Bane is amazing. He's my favorite villain in any Batman movie is Tom Hardy's Bane. Like, I know, I get it. It's fine. Inja's got my back and nobody else has to have it. That's fine. But there is something so magical to me about all 3 of these movies. And I agree with you, E. It would be nice to see what the original plan was because we know they wanted Heath Ledger back.
Mm-hmm.
But what I heard at the time was it was meant to be like maybe a scene, right? Where he's got some information and Batman goes to Arkham and has a conversation with him, right? And they thought about including the scene, but Christopher Nolan did not want to recast the Joker, right? But Batman, The Dark Knight Rises, I know it's not the most popular movie. I know a lot of people are disappointed in it, but I am not. And I enjoyed rewatching it so much. And I mean, there was even a time where I said this was my favorite Batman movie. But on this rewatch and just thinking about my thoughts over the years, Batman Begins is my favorite. But I love all 3 of these movies just as much. So I'm giving it a 5. You digs. A perfect, like, Christopher Nolan has not made a bad movie in my opinion. I'm a mark for him, dude. His next movie could be like Oppenheimer's fucking turd. and it's just him like shitting in a toilet bowl. But if there was a sweaty Florence Pugh in it, I would be all about it and give it a 5 you digs. You know what I'm saying? I love Dunkirk. I love his Memento. I love all the Batman movies. I love The Prestige. I love Insomnia, even though it's not as good as the original Swedish film. But I love this movie. I'm giving it a 5. So a 5 from me, a 4 from Brooks, and a 3 from Jelani for a PCP average of 4. So that means I guess Brooks was right and everybody else was wrong. So that's pretty dope. And also the music. I mean, here's the thing. Danny Elfman's score for the 89 Batman, and in particular the 1992 Dark Knight or Batman Returns. I love those scores. They have a lot more character. They have a lot more flamboyant nature, right? But this score in all of these movies can do so much with so little. With the Joker, all we need is like an unnerving and unsettling tone, right? For Catwoman, we need a little bit of whimsy. For Bane, we get a little bit more percussive, right? But then all we need for Batman to encapsulate everything about that character is 2 notes. Bum, bum. So fucking good. And if you look at the color palette, orange for the dawn, right? Blue for the night, and then white for the day. Because this is the rising, right? I fucking love this. It's like, feels like it's so meticulously put together and planned from the beginning, even though it wasn't. I love this film. I think it's great. So overall, the Dark Knight Trilogy is one of my favorite things. And I don't think there's a trilogy that comes close to the Dark Knight. Like, honestly, I don't. The Matrix, for me, worked as a trilogy, but unfortunately, they made a fucking 4th film. They did.
Really?
It exists in the void, like Blade 3, Blade Trinity. The other thing, though, is Deadpool, for instance. That's a pretty solid movie trilogy. Bill and Ted's a solid movie trilogy, but nothing matches The Dark Knight for me as far as a movie trilogy. Working. I love it. So, yeah, thus concludes our review of the Dark Knight Trilogy. Very excited. We have now concluded ActionFest, everybody. But don't worry. We're taking 2 weeks off, and a much deserved 2 weeks off. But we're going to be back in 3 weeks' time as we start Horror Fest. And Horror Fest kicks off August 19th here on PCP Movie Night. We're going to be talking about the Paranormal Activity franchise. And if you thought Dark Knight Rises was not so good, wait till we get to some of these fucking movies. Jeez. But Horror Fest, we got a great lineup planned. Over 50 movies across 3 channels on 35 shows, 3 double features, 2 franchise reviews. It's the bloodiest, most transgressive Horror Fest lineup of all time. And it all kicks off in 3 weeks on August 19th with the Paranormal Activity franchise. Super excited for that. Jelani, thank you for being here. Another Action Fest come and gone. This was the best Action Fest we've ever done, in my opinion. What are your final thoughts? What you got to say?
I agree, dude, because freaking Die Hard. Yeah, you got me. Yeah, I had fun.
Hey, Dark Knight Rises is better than A Good Day to Die Hard, though, right?
Yeah, I think that's the lowest rated of our. Yeah, fuck that movie. Yeah, I had a lot of fun doing these. The Dark Knight Rises is fine, by the way. I just want to throw that out there. I gave it a 3 because it's okay. It's okay, but it's a completist trilogy. We have the main deal. It's gorgeous because it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And it tells a great story. It makes the lie of Harvey Dent, all the things. That's what I was going to mention. I do have to say this is my final thought, other than what I'm going to say, is that because of Rachel's death, he, Bruce is fixated on this death. And he's like, she was going to stay for me. She's going to stay for me. And then Alfred, what if I told you, Mr. Wayne, that we wrote a letter, and that she wrote a letter choosing Harvey? And what if I burned that letter like I did in the Dark Knight? What if I did that?
I love how none of us have a good Michael Caine impersonation, but we just know you got to be stabby.
You gotta get like, all right. And then what happens? And then like he does all this shit and then leaves, making him the worst Alfred. That's why he's the worst fucking Alfred. He's the daddy figure that's like, I don't want you. I'm not married on a wine.
I don't know. It breaks my heart every time when he's at Brewster's grave.
Like,
And
I'm sorry you're gone. I could have helped. I really could have helped. But then you cried like a little baby.
I know what that means. Yeah,
that's what my thought was. That was some bullshit, Alfred. That was a weak-ass sauce, Alfred. You know what? Animated series Alfred is better than you. That comes 66 Batman Alfred is better than you. This so comic accurate freaking Alfred is better than freaking Michael Caine Alfred. And I love Michael Caine, but he's the weakest because he left him. You left him. Anyway, Brooks and I do a show called Go Figure Reviews. This week, we did the Target exclusive Warbird. It is an awesome figure, in my opinion. That's the Miss Marvel head, but there's a Warbird head, and it was a pain in the butt to get this figure. We're putting this on the channel as soon as I get done editing it. It will pop out probably sometime tomorrow. Check it out. We got other videos. We're going to rant soon. Robbie's going to be on a few. We're going to be exciting. Yay. Go see Go Figure Reviews. Check us out.
Yeah, everybody go check out Go Figure Reviews. And very excited, man.
Go watch it, Mr. White. Go watch it.
What if I burned that letter?
What
about you, Brooks? Final thoughts. Thank you for being here.
Just that it's not about the money. It's about sending a message.
Nice. For my final thoughts, don't forget HorrorFest is on the way. We're taking a 2-week break here on PCP Movie Night so we can watch these shitty-ass Paranormal Activity movies because that's how we kick off HorrorFest. The Paranormal Activity franchise, that's August 19th, 2023. And do join me on Friday night at 6 p.m. Central Time for the Best Comics of the Month, the award-winning Best Comics of the Month stream. We got me, Nick, Eric, Greg, and Stu. It's going to be a great show. You know it. And for my official final thoughts, and thank you for another successful and banging ass Action Fest. Where is she? Where's the detonator?